guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I say my, but at this point you may have noticed we've got a lot more people posting. Primarily, Belle, my business partner, has added a bunch of videos, and hopefully what we'll soon see is additional content from my other people on my team as well. I've been on this for so long, I've gotten used to saying it's my YouTube channel, but in reality, this is the Rising Tide general YouTube channel that's used by others. With that being said, it's been a while since I posted a real video. I have a couple videos there that were recorded of me doing like talks at conferences and things like that. And I wanted to take a moment to basically talk through or maybe demonstrate some ideas that came up. So like one of the questions that I was asked at Orbit is, what are interesting things that we're doing with AI? And I know that like Morgan on the second day of Orbit demonstrated the use case of using AI to create your project scope and splitting up your tasks and stuff like that. There are some other edge cases that have come up over the last couple of um, days or weeks or months or however long it's been with some clients. And every time I do it, it's a little bit different for each client. And I figured I would take the time to record what we've been doing, maybe showcase some of it. Some of the things I'm going to do are things that I've actually done and I know work. Some of the things I'm going to demonstrate are going to be me trying to figure some stuff out, like navigating through um, some of the various nuances that Halo has when you're integrating with AI. So I'm just going to jump right into it. We are going to be using the Halo demo MSP advisors instance in this case. I'm still saving the training instance for the full-blown setup end-to-end for Halo. So I am going to get back to that playlist at some point, but I don't want to mess with that instance while because we're in the middle of setting that up. So we are going to be using that other one in this case. So right now I'll share my screen. This is the um, MSP advisors instance. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through and just go through the various different ways that AI can be integrated with Halo to an extent. So in this instance, I have Azure OpenAI configured. It's going to the Rising Tide Azure instance. Some changes here. This has been a while since I've done the AI overview with Halo, so there's been a few changes since. We're just going to cover them very briefly. Number one, we now have this AI area that can be turned off or on, right? So before there used to be integrations, you'd go down here and you can configure OpenAI or Azure OpenAI independently. In this case, I've got both on, which really shouldn't, I don't think, cause too much of an issue. But over AI here, this setting or backup on configuration into AI here, we now have the overall configuration for AI high level, and then the area we just showed you earlier under integrations will configure each independent section. So if we take you to here or the OpenAI, I'm not going to change it, but if I were to flip to OpenAI Open Settings, it'll take you to independent settings within the integration of each AI. So it's a little bit different than what you're used to, or at least from the last video. If you're used to going to here, then notice that the changes here are very different. If you go into the Azure OpenAI here, again, you're being taken into the sub window to configure the connection to OpenAI or Azure OpenAI. And then the actual AI settings are outside of the setup area down here. So out of the box, we've got the ability to create embedding scores for tickets. There are two ways to do this. They added the built-in functionality. If you remember, originally this was done through runbooks. We'll come back and talk about that a little bit. But for right now, I'm just going to showcase that you can switch to built-in functionality, and we're just going to move on from there. We have the ability to change where our search database is located. So we can tie it in now to Azure Search AI. Subscription I do not have because I don't want to pay for that as a test or as a trial because it's fairly expensive. And then we can choose like which types of tickets will be linked for those embedding events, right? So when they get created, where do you want to create those? Which ones do you want to create those embeddings for? And primarily speaking, it's probably just going to be like incident service requests, the ones that are client facing or that are coming through, not necessarily the alerts. But it really depends on what you're looking to do with AI and how much you're going to be using that vectorization, which right now may not be too much yet, because again, all this stuff is still pretty early in development. We do have the ability to set like a minimum confidence level to make sure that the ticket really matches before it comes through. We have the ability to change the category. We can either say don't match it, or we can suggest a value for the category 1 behavior based off of the AI decision. Um, and then you can also uh, force an index of the tickets, right? So a lot of the stuff is, some of this is pretty same as it was before, and some of it is fairly new, depending on what you're used to seeing. Then we have the ability to also vectorize the knowledge base articles. So again, same thing. If we wanted to if we wanted to vectorize our knowledge base articles, then we can store it in Azure AI Search. Halo's built-in database doesn't allow you to necessarily store the vectorization of articles, because I don't know why, but I'm assuming it's because of the content will be significantly larger, and the vectors can already be pretty big as it is. Um, we can turn on AI article suggestions, which would use AI to suggest the article. Again, if you're using the Azure AI search, it would be a more accurate suggestion. But this is a fairly new feature, more or less. Right, and then we've got the AI insights. It's going to evaluate whether or not you've got, the priority, the tonality of the ticket, things like that. We've seen this before. This is using the runbook. We have knowledge creation, right? In this case, we can tell AI to create a knowledge base article automatically from tickets, and we can control what that looks like. I do have a video showcasing some of the stuff, exploring it for the first time, but and we're not going to go into that level of detail here necessarily. I'm just going to go ahead and turn it on for right now. Emotion detection is another thing we've talked about in a previous video as well. It's a new feature. And then we also have AI reports, which has gotten better, I should say. So we have the ability to say, you know, um, let's just show it a case and example. If you go to the reporting, I don't use this ever, but I know other people who have been using it, and says that it's not as bad as it used to be. So let's just say write a query giving me the top most recent tickets, ticket ID, summary, assigned agent and team, and the customer name. Let's see what comes up. Right, so this is going to be a fairly complex um, join, potentially. But let's see what comes back if we go ahead and test this. Oh, sorry, generate the report first, and then we can test the SQL that it generates. So it used to be, like, the way this works is it uses AI assistants. I don't know if you're too familiar with how the AI assistants work. It's a little bit different than the standard chat completions that you're used to seeing with ChatGPT. Um, Actually, I really shouldn't say that, because the modern ChatGPT actually does use assistants in some cases. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense to say, but in any case, an assistant is a different area in OpenAI that allows you to open a conversation and maintain an ongoing chat. It's kind of like a chat bot, as opposed to just a back and forth uh, um, constant send of like webhooks, essentially. So the best way to describe this is, in previous days and working with chat completions, there was no historical record of the conversation. And so throughout the API calls that you're making, you have to include the entire conversation. You'd have the entire conversation would be included in the payload. So the previous chats that you sent, the previous chats that it sent back would be included in the payload. And that's how it would know or keep track of the conversation. With assistants, the way it works is you open up a conversation, and then you send it a message, and then it has that conversation on record, so to speak, and you're including a conversation ID as you communicate with it. So because of the um, because of the size of the database, or because of the amount of information, even if it wasn't about SQL in general, with AI, if you're using chat completions, you're limited into how much of that training you can provide in prompt, because the longer the conversation, the longer the prompt, the longer whatever, the more tokens you're using, and at some point you're going to hit a limit. With assistance, the conversation is forever. You're not using the same level of tokens, so to speak. You have more functionality. You can create custom actions. And if you've seen the Hoodoo AMA video, you saw me create a custom chat GPT that was able to communicate with the Hoodoo's API. That's basically an assistant. The key thing, and the reason why I'm talking about it, is because the way you interact with it is very different. With a chat completion, you're sending one web request, and then you're getting a reply back immediately, more or less. And then with an assistant, you are sending the web request, and then you have to wait for that completion to happen, for that AI to be finished. And it won't give you the response. You have to query it on a loop until you see, has it been is it finished? Is it finished? Is it finished? Is it finished? If it's doing like image generation, if it's doing code writing, if it's doing sound creation, whatever it's doing, it may or may not be finished yet right away, right? Like it may not be able to return fast enough for um, for the time limit of responding to an HTTP request. So it responds immediately with 200 OK, saying it's queued, and then you have to reply back and hit up essentially a webhook to say, hey, are you done? Are you done? Are you done? Are you done? When it is done, you get another request to pull the results basically. And so you basically have to do this loop. So it used to be back in the day when this was first introduced, you would get like blank pop-ups that would show up and you just have to click through it. And the reason for that was because it was constantly querying, hey, is it done? 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 Until it was finally finished. And then you'd get back SQL here that would potentially work. Now this test is failing. It's saying the order by clause is invalid in views and line functions unless top offset or 4 is also specified. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say top 100 percent. Now it should have already done that, right? Like, because I actually didn't include a number, but it should have done something. So let's just say top 100, and then hit test. And it says no invalid column name, use surname. So users. I mean, I don't know what. Let's read this. Fault ID, fault symptom, uname.uname as its non-agent, uname.usection as team, users.u first name, plus space, plus user last name as customer name. So this is not right. This is not the customer name. This is it's trying to build a username. But in reality, I was looking for the client name. And I don't know if it would have been different if I said client instead of customer. But if we take this, let's just say, select a area description from area where a equals area int, right? Is from the, and there we have a success, right? So literally it did a pretty good job for the most part. Let's generate it. Look at that. Right? So it did a pretty decent job in this case. You just have to fix it up a little bit. This is the SQL to output, and what we tried doing here uh, was actually didn't work because I don't know what that is, but we can just do select top 5-star from users and see what came back. So username is the name. I don't know if first name, it's last name, not surname. Okay, well that would, we literally can just change this to you last name and that would have worked too. All right, so you can kind of see like, it's AI. It's not going to be 100%. It's not bad. It's significantly better than what it used to be, for sure, but still not great. So that's the AI reports functionality. Thank you detection is pretty good. Enable AI thank you detection, so that way in the event it detects an email, it will not, if it detects an email as thank you, it won't reopen the ticket. So we can turn that on as well. And then we can also turn this on as well and say like, let's survey 100% of the tickets, let's say, for example. Right, and then that's basically it as far as native functionality. Let's talk a little bit about what else exists in terms of beyond backend management and processes and stuff like that. There's some other stuff that we can do with it that's more front end with the technician. And we talked a bit about this as well under the actions, right? We can configure an action level to either write a reply to the user or improve a reply. So we go action config, we can create an action that's going to do something like AI response. Ooh, come back here. And you can say the button name is AI response, and the button icon will be, I don't know, email, let's say, or Android. There we go. Let's do Android reply, right? In this case, we're going to say, let's go ahead and send the email. Let's make it a quick action. Status after action, we say is new, and so on and so forth. And then all we're going to do here down here is we're just going to say generate a user response, right? And then we can basically specify a couple things here. So number one is that Um, Yeah, so I'm just reading the subtext here. Number one, is this Azure OpenAI deployment? Like you can override which deployment you're using. If you've set up your Azure before, you'll know in the Azure portal, in the AI Studio, which they've recently renamed to something else I can't think of. I don't remember right now, but in the AI Studio, you can set up multiple deployments. So you can override different actions to do different deployment, different models if you want to. Um, Here, if you leave it blank, it just uses the default setting which is configured inside of your AI settings back over here. So this is your default models that are going to be used for the actual chat completion or for embeddings. And you can override which model you want to use here for this. So I'm going to leave it blank. We're going to use the MSP Advisor GPT-4, which is literally GPT-4. And we're going to write some system message here. It's going to say something like, um, all right, so I don't know if you're seeing this or not. I guess I'll zoom in and read it. You are responsible for responding to all emails and inform the user that they're in good hands and not to worry. Make sure you reference items that are mentioned in their email. Make them feel warm and fuzzy. Do not direct them to other technical support or outside companies. Reassure them that our human teams will be handling it. Be sure to clarify that you're just a bot. Wow, there's a typo. Just a bot. Don't be professional. Pick a random personality and accent and make sure to lean heavily into it. Include an explanation of the personality and why you picked it in subtext at the end. All emails should be written in HTML that is designed to be rendered by an email client. Use double spacing when starting a new paragraph. All right, and so this is it. I'm not going to go too crazy here on the prompt. The key thing about this, though, the key thing about AI is that outcome must be unique. Okay, well, AI response 2.0, right? Let's say like split personality response. There we go. Right. The key thing about AI is the prompting, right? This is the same thing that everyone always knows. Hopefully by now you already know that. I am going to set this to send an email if the ticket to is set, and we're just going to go ahead and save that. Right, let's go ahead and create another action, and this time we're going to do something like um, AI spell checker, right? Or how about like AI superpowers? There we go. And so then we're just going to say superpower, and we'll do like a bomb thing or whatever. I don't know, maybe a lightning bolt. Come on, bolt. There we go. Bolt sounds better. All right, and in this case, we're going to say instead to improve the agent note. Now, notice the difference is that here I have a prompt and it includes the ability to pass in the rich action note, whereas over here I don't get that response. I don't get that option. All it says is that the conversation with the user will be sent and the AI will generate a response, right? That's included in the subtext that I was reading earlier. So I don't have the option of passing in too many variables, if any. Here I do have the option of passing a rich action note, which may or may not be good for me, but we'll come back to deal with that later. In this case, I'm just going to say something like, um, below is 2 parts. Um, okay, I'm gonna keep this one simple, but we can come back here and tweak it as we need to. If you go to the defaults, we're gonna go ahead and leave this off. It doesn't really make a difference, so to speak. We can show the email option if we want to, but we're going to come down here and we're gonna put something in here. We're just gonna say something like, AI instructions, colon, make sure you are translating everything into a random language that you pick. And then we're just gonna put in a line break, let's say, and let's put in email content. And we'll put in here ticket subject, subject line, and we'll say symptom, um, details, symptom 2, and then we're going to put in here um, username, action who, right? And then we're going to put down here um, here. Replace this line with the email you want to reply to the user, let's say. Okay, and let's go ahead and save this. Now, I'm just like, I don't know exactly what will or won't work right now. I know what functionalities are built into Halo, and I'm gonna be trying to use them to say, uh, in interesting ways that may or may not have been thought of before, just to showcase what can be done and start getting your mind, um, to think about these things. Now, the other thing we have to do that I forgot about is we have to include the variable of the rich action note, right? Um, so we basically have, there's 2 parts, the con you'll need, and we're going to say content is below, and then rich action note will include the default note that we just basically built as this. Okay. Notice the default here is showing 3.5 turbo. It kind of like self-filled itself. We're going to remove that for a moment, and we're going to go ahead and turn this on, preview the OpenAI response before saving the action. We're going to go ahead and look at that as well. We don't want this to use the model. We don't want that set. Let's go take a look at AI split personality response and see if it did that as well. No, that did not use 3. That didn't save, so that's good. And this here again is good at this point. So all we need to do is build a ticket that we can play with. So let's go and create a ticket, or let's do this. All right, new ticket came in. Let's find somebody that we can put it under. That won't be too big of a problem. Let's say Amir Saeed, sure. Well, he's an agent. I don't want to do that actually. Never mind. Let's put it under John Adams. Okay, confirm selection. Right, so we don't have, I'm just gonna put an email address in here just so we can send emails, and that's basically it. Let's go ahead and choose the ticket type, will be incident, and here we'll say something like slow computer uh, anytime I try downloading. right? And then we're going to go ahead and leave whatever category business applications. We're going to leave all this stuff alone, and we're going to go ahead and submit. So at this point, tickets created, right? Nothing special there, but we do want to bring those buttons into the workflow or bring the ticket onto a workflow that those buttons exist on, and so on. So we're going to take a look at where this ticket ends up, and we're going to add those buttons in so we can see how they behave. I don't know why it's going so slow today. Right now, it's technically not today anymore. It's almost midnight, but there we go. And what we want to do is we'll just go to this workflow real quick, and we're just going to throw in uh, details. We're just going to add in the two buttons that we just created. So we have split personality response. We've also got superpowers, which is why I chose names that are not necessarily common because it's super easy to search for them. We know exactly where they end up. In this case, we do have AI analysis here. It's old. I'm not going to touch that. We're going to go ahead and hit refresh, and we should have two new buttons, response and superpower. So in this case, let's say um, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and write a response to the user, and we're going to mark this as a response. It's going to go ahead and save the action, saving the AI response, and it's going to go and reply something. Now, I don't know exactly if it's going to see the details of the ticket because, again, its subtext was very specific when it said the user conversation will be displayed. Notice it leaned right in. Howdy, partner. Oh, ain't this a prickly situation? Looks like y'all have some trouble with them downloads zipping slower than a desert tortoise on a summer's day. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I feel like I might embarrass myself if I try. Um, but this email will fall into your normal email template, and including your typical branding and so on and so forth. Halo is really going slow right now. Um, yeah, I mean, it looks like it did what it's supposed to do. It did read. Let's see if I put something in here. I guess I should have put something inside the description to identify if the AI is reading just the summary or if it read more than that. But I guess the other thing we could do is we can actually see this. This is one of the new improvements that Halo did to their integration. If we go back to the AI, close this out, we'll just refresh this for a second. Go down to the bottom. We do have the Azure OpenAI here, and it'll take you to the logs. We can see this chat completion that exists. Here, we can see your response from all emails and inform users that they're in good hands, not to worry. Make sure you reference items that are mentioned, blah, blah, blah. And then so then we can say, here's, yeah, look, this is the body of the email, and this is the response. So it's actually not seeing the subject at all. It's literally just pulling the description. Um, and notice it added this as a comment. Okay. If we go back to this ticket, one of the things I told it to do was to make sure that um, it included a subtext that explains what personality it picked and why. Um, I can see it in the AI log response that it did that. Right, so like here's the comment. I took on personality A of a classic American cowboy due to their known personality traits. Let's see if we can find that in the HTML here. Yeah, here it is. Look at that. Took on the personality of a classic American um, cowboy due to the known personality traits of being reliable, tough, and resourceful. I felt this would lend a certain charm and appeal to the message, so helping the user feel comfortable and reassured. Also, the cowboy archetype typically provides a sense of lighthearted warmth and camaraderie, which further amplifies the warm and fuzzy approach. So that's the AI comment. So basically, like you can see, um, it did its job. It did what it's supposed to do. It got a very limited set of things, and we didn't really have control over it. It just allowed us to. It just immediately sent the email just by hitting the button. And I can hit this button over and over again. I don't know if it's going to do a cowboy every time. It could be because I said to be warm and fuzzy. It's going to do a cowboy every time. I don't know. It could be, that it just picks something different, and then it'll have some other explanations as something along the lines of like, oh, this personality is, yeah, look, good day, mate. Blimey, it seems like your downloads are moving at a small snail's pace. So again, not reading that whole thing because I don't want to embarrass myself. Trying to pretend like I'm an Australian with an Australian accent. But we can go back to this action and pull up the comment to see why it picked this personality as well. And the point is that what you can do with AI is pretty much up to whatever you can program. So here, it looks like I adopted a personality language of an Australian mate. Its colloquial, relaxed, and friendly tone may make the user feel at ease, as if they're talking to a familiar friend rather than a machine. Furthermore, Australians are known for their no worries and can-do attitude, which is ideal to reassure users that their problems will be addressed efficiently. The Aussie lexicon lightens the message, further instilling a warm, relaxed, and affable communication style. All right, so it's done a pretty good job in explaining why it's picking a personality, and it does do a pretty decent job at picking random personalities. And the point is that as long as we can tell it what to do, and as long as as long as it doesn't rely or require any significant amount of knowledge regarding your systems, it'll listen, right? It can do it pretty well. Um, so let's go back and let's talk about the other action here. So let's say we got the superpower, right? Oh, that's not helpful. Hold on one second. Before I can use the superpower action, I need to add some fields to it. Primarily, I need to add the note field, which is going to be what gets used to be able to power everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save here, and we're going to go back and refresh this page. And then I'm going to add this, I'm going to hit the superpower button again. And now I've gotten all, here's the AI instructions. Make sure to translate everything to random language that you pick and include English language and why you picked it at the end of the email. So we're going to put in, here's the email content. It's basically passing everything through that we didn't get before, right? Before we only got the description. At this point, we're getting the description, we're getting the subject line, the username. I don't know if this is going to work, right? I don't know how this is going to behave necessarily, but I'm going to go back and come in here and say something like, um, we tried reaching out to you, but was unable to get through. Left a message asking for a callback. We'll try again tomorrow morning. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and instead of saving, because I turned on that preview message or that preview AI response, instead of saving it, you don't have the AI icon here anymore. Instead, on this rich text bar, you get a brand new icon all the way at the end to improve the agent note. So I'm going to go ahead and press that button and see if it can properly parse through the variables. Oh, look at that. Dear username, and it came back as not really sure. Let's see if we have anything. It didn't include the language or why, but it's just fun. I don't know how to. Let's see if we can pull up Google Translate or something like that. Let's see. Uh, hmm. All right, so here's Google Translate. Let's just copy some of these sentences and see what they come back with. We've tried to contact you email versus we have left a message in your mailbox requesting you call us back. We'll try again tomorrow morning. Right, that's pretty good. It came back from Chinese, but it says it by email, which is wrong. I think I said, I mean, I don't know what the heck I said anymore because it's been rewritten. And then we have this guy here. We can see what this one says. Oh, service staff under issue is, and then it has the person's name. We can pull up this thing here, right? Email subject, okay? We don't necessarily need this stuff, so we can work on our prompt a little bit to figure out, what exactly is going through. And then let's take a look at this, what this is. Oh, come back here. Tech language. We hope to hear from you soon. Okay. And then we also have this sentence here, which who knows what that is. I'm expecting it at some point to give me a justification. Aha. This email is translated to Chinese because it's one of the most widely spoken languages in the world, and I believe learning and using new languages can help us better understand different cultures and concepts. So it kind of did what it was supposed to. And it did read, well, I can't even say it did the variables. It didn't actually read the variables. It doesn't know. It returned symptom and symptom 2 as dollars and action 2 as dollars. So it didn't properly read the variables, which is interesting to me. But what would happen if we go ahead and save this is it would expand Dear John Adams, which is the name, John Adams, right? Mendy Green's action who, slow computer, every time I try downloading, so the symptom, right? Details are when downloading files, everything is super slow, and kind regards Mendy Green. So the variables do work once I save the action, and they can be used in terms of like signing my name, that clearly I just did that. But it can't be used to help understand details about the ticket necessarily, if that makes sense. Now, what we could do is if we were to take the action to be rewritten before, instead of being previewed, to be rewritten after preview, like after you save it, it would have an idea and understanding of what those variables mean, because the variables will get translated during the saving of the action. So just something to keep in mind there in that regard and how that would look. Now, it does mean that I can't split this up. One of the things I was thinking about doing is splitting this up between like a custom field and the actual main note, because the custom field would basically um, help with um, controlling where the content goes. Right, like right now, if I hit this button again, superpower, I can hopefully, I was hoping I can take this and move it into custom field and replace it with a custom field variable. Right, I can take this and move it to custom field and replace that with a custom field variable, and then essentially I'll be able to have two different text boxes which are more controlled, more structured than this completely open empty box that a technician can absolutely screw up. Right, so if I come in here and instead say something like um, the following, you are, let's say, I don't know, Harry Potter, Lord Voldemort, and the headmaster of Hogwarts. Yes, this is not canon. Your email is to Albus Dumbledore, and you have to maintain your evil tone and without being obvious that you don't like him. I mean, I'm just going like all out right now. All right. Um, and then we're just gonna say, oh, so actually we're gonna shorten that, because we don't know how, right? So I basically just going, I'm changing like what I'm doing here is I'm changing the prompt that was given to AI, right? Keeping in mind that the prompt is how AI interacts with you. And in the system prompt, I told it to basically read the instructions in the body and then follow those instructions. And then so I've basically abstracted out where the prompt's going to be. In this case, I can now go ahead and hit this button, which will go to AI and rewrite um, certain things. Like what it should do is it should rewrite this line: the unseen dilemma. Salutations, Albus. We have encountered a rather intriguing conundrum whose resolution has thus far eluded even our sharpest minds. Perplexing circumstances seems impervious to our conventional methods of resolution. I'm sure you'll find it most peculiar. Rest assured that our relentless pursuit of answers continues unabated. Indeed, the challenge fuels my undying curiosity, reminding me ever so slightly of the enigma that is the Elder Wand. Wouldn't you agree? It appears that, much like the unfathomable depths of the Chamber of Secrets, this impactful matter may require knowledge not found within our usual resources, something more obscured, something intangible. But fear not, for I, Lord Voldemort, am not one to back down from such a challenge. No stone will be left unturned. It's funny how I don't find it embarrassing to read this out loud. All right, I'm done. The point is, with AI, we can take uh, whatever we can think of and make it happen. So to an extent. So like one of the things that we did for a client was we told it to rewrite the agent note. We had like we said like here's a bullet point list of things that we did. Rewrite this into an email following certain parameters. Right. We also included there was another client that had dual multilingual clients, or they interacted in more than one language, and so we included like, hey, um, if there's a language tag that's recorded as like language colon whatever, then make sure you translate the email into that language into whatever that language is, excluding the language tag itself, right? So Again, it's just a matter of what you can think of in the prompt and how you can make it work. And it does take some testing. But also, if you have ChatGPT subscription or you have access to ChatGPT or Claude or another AI, you can use it to help you write your AI prompts as well, which can help uh, fuel your creativity or give you some ideas and brainstorming on what you can do. All this stuff is done, and I haven't even talked about runbooks or anything else at this point. Um, so let's talk about that for a second, because like the stuff that we can do goes beyond that, right? Anyone who's ever worked with me on an implementation um, knows that I abhor overhead to a really, really high amount. I can't stand it. And some of my clients, for some clients that I've talked to in terms of when I'm doing a re-implementation with them, if they already implemented when they came on board or during our conversations, know that there's a section here called awaiting review that I cannot stand. I don't like um, the way it takes up time, right? Like the point, my philosophy is if we set up Halo correctly from a billing perspective, you shouldn't need the awaiting review. It should be all correct, and you can do whatever review that is required can be done while generating the invoices instead of making it a two-step approval or a two-step review. It's just all comes into here, and you can review fairly easily whether or not something's gone wrong that needs to be fixed, as opposed to it being a normal process that you're doing a review on everything. Because it does take a significant amount of time, especially if you're a larger MSP or you have a lot of amount of work that's going past that's being billable. With that being said, there is a way that we can use the waiting review section that is a little bit more palatable for me, I guess. Um, and so here's an example that we're going to create. And again, this is going to depend on Halo's performance right now. Let's see how this goes. While this is loading, we're going to jump back to our configuration, and we're going to go to custom fields. We're going to build some custom fields on the action level. So we're going to go to the action here, and we're going to say something like AI manager review. Let's say we do, let's say AI manager billing review, right? Billing review results. Okay, so we're gonna copy that, and here we're gonna say billing review, and we're gonna make this a memo. Let's start with a memo. If we want, we can go more, whatever. For a memo is a large enough text that it can put something in there. Not too complicated, so it doesn't require to be HTML. We're gonna go from there. We're gonna create a new column, a new tab, I mean, and we're gonna call this AI manager. And we're gonna give it sequence 10. Save. And we're just gonna put this inside AI manager. We're gonna hit save. And we're gonna go and start creating another custom field. It's gonna be AI manager. And this time we're gonna say like tech review. And then we'll just call this tech review. And we'll do a memo again. And we're going to go ahead and put this under AI manager. I should have included the word results, but oh well. Here we'll do AI manager tech score, right? And this is going to be a number. So this will just be a text field, tech score, let's say. And we're just going to put this under AI manager. Let's go back and grab the name of this. And we're going to make a new one. We're going to paste this in and get rid of these two and change results to score, billing score, right? And then again, I'm just doing something that I partially did for a client to an extent. We may change it up a little bit or not, whatever. The point is like this is all customizable. You can decide how and what you want to do with this. And so then we can say something like, let's go to, yeah, we don't even need to do anything at this point. We can do, I guess it would be on like the email user, right? So if we're looking at this ticket, let me just delete this for a moment. So we're looking at this ticket. Imagine that any action we're doing that is actual work. So essentially, email user is where we're doing real work. We have the ability to set a status. We can set a charge rate, and so on and so forth. So we're gonna say on the email user action is gonna be where we stick this. So we're gonna go back to our actions real quick, and we're just gonna change the email user action to add those here. Field lists. We'll throw these in here. We're just going to throw these things. AI review, AI manager, AI manager. Yeah. All right, and then we're gonna just come in here and say for each of these, we're just gonna hide it if they're empty, right? And we're gonna mark them visible read only, hide if hidden if empty. So visible read only, hidden if empty. Yeah, I don't know if that read only is gonna mess me up or not, but we'll find out. We've got the score and we've got text score. So we got the billing score, text score, we got the billing review, tech review. We're good to go. Go ahead and save this. All right, now we've got an actual run book to build. All right, so let's go take a look at custom integrations inside of Halo and take a look at what we can do here. So we go to integrations, we go to down to the bottom, custom integrations, and we'll go into our custom integrations here. Notice we have Azure OpenAI as an included integration. We've got different methods that we can do. And one of them is like ask a question, evaluate ticket details. We've got a lot of the stuff here already for us. Some of them may or may not work. This case, they're in your out of the box AI. You may get a failure trying to communicate or trying to run any of these actions. The reason is because most of the time out of the box, you'll have a something that looks like this. And you'll notice that the API version is both here and also here, right? You can't be in both places. You may not be able to edit this URL. And so in that case, if you can't edit this URL, just delete it from the query parameters, because otherwise it's going to be sending two query parameters and you're going to get a 404 not found. In this case, I was able to fix that URL ahead of time. The other thing that you can do is you can just make a brand new action, which is what we're going to want to do anyways, right? So I'm just going to keep this open as a reference, and then we're going to duplicate the tab, and we're going to jump into creating a brand new integration method for what we want to do, right? So we're going to hit new at this case, and this is going to be AI manager review, and we're just going to go ahead and do a post, right? Because we're copying this. It's going to be a post. We're going to grab this URL. It's going to be the same host name. Actually, we don't need to grab that. It's already there. We're going to grab this URL and paste it here. It's going to be the chat completions, which is what we're going to be using. And then we can go back here, and we're going to grab the API version, Azure OpenAI version variables. This is going to be API-version, paste, right? And then all we need to do is set up our body. Our body is going to be very basic. It's literally just the typical OpenAI payload that you're supposed to be sending. So we're going to go ahead and paste this in. You got our messages. You've got roles, user, content. I'm just going to test this right now. I'm just going to say like something, are you alive, right? Something dumb. And we're going to hit test. And so we should get back a response that says something like, nope, I'm an AI, don't have life, and I exist and operate within a computer system. So no, but bottom line is it is alive, it is working, so we're good to go. The other thing that we want to do though is we want to make sure we grab the output. So back on, if we go back into the method we just created, go to our output variables, notice we don't have anything here, but in here we do. So you do want to grab this, and we're going to come back here and just say, put this in as well. So we're just going to say like AI manager response. And this will be a string for right now. We're probably likely going to go ahead and change that in a moment. And so then we're just going to go ahead and test this, and we can now see that we got back a response. It's going to hit our content right here, right? So we don't have to read the ugly JSON to find it. All right, well, that ugly JSON is actually something we want to use. So we're going to come back here and edit this. Here's what we're going to do, right? So I mentioned with chat completions, you have to send the entire payload every time you're communicating to the AI. So in this case, we can simulate or an essential conversation, like a conversation happening. The way we do that is we create multiple message blocks within the messages array. So we're going to just copy this, for example, and we're just going to paste, comma, and so on and so forth. In this case, we're just going to go and change a couple things here, actually. So let's put this essentially lined up as much as we can. I honestly don't know why it's not lined up. There we go. That one is. There we go. Okay, perfect. And what we're going to do is we're going to change this to be role system, right? System is going to be something like this. System is the system prompt. It's going to be the instructions to AI and how to behave and how to interact with the user. And so now we're going to come back and say something like, you are the AI assistant, or we're just going to say assistant at an MSP that is doing ticket review. Your responsibility is to review all the details of the ticket and validate against two types of um, metrics, billing and technical. Of pass or fail. Okay. All right, so this is basically the prompt, and I'm not going to read the whole thing. Hopefully, you're able to see it on the screen. But I'm basically telling it that it's going to review the ticket details, or it's going to review um, the action that's being well. Okay, it's going to review the ticket details. Um, so this is actually interesting. I'm finding myself mixing two things up together, which could be separated out. Um, so I'm going to copy this and we're going to save this and we're going to say ticket closure. Okay. And we're going to recreate this again for something else, which is we're going to come back to this later. We're going to come over here and we're going to say AI ticket review note, right? We're going to do a post again. We're going to paste the body that we have in here. And in this case, it's going to say review the note placed into the ticket. So a lot of the stuff is going to be the same. We're not going to change too much of it. We're just going to say um, review the email that was sent out to a customer and validate that it meets our standard on two fronts, let's say. Right? And so then we can come back here and just pull this out, and we're just going to say the content is literally just going to be action note HTML, and we're just going to to put that in there. Okay. And so then it's going to include the full email out, right? And so we're going to go ahead and save this. We're going to go back and open this up. And we're just going to finish up what we create here. So we want the URL in here. Let's go ahead and paste the URL in, right? API version needs to be set. That's going to be the API version here, Azure OpenAI version. And then our body output is good. What we are going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a different output, right? We want to grab this, but in reality, our output should be something very different. It should be based off of, well, let's see what it looks like first. Let's go to this ticket real quick, and we're just going to write up an email out to the client. So we're going to do email user. We're going to say, hi, Mendy, your download's slow because your internet sucks. Stop downloading stupid movies at work. All right, perfect. Right, and then it'll be with user. We'll put this in as like, let's do something like an hour and 21 minutes, let's say. Let's go ahead and send this email, so to speak. I'm actually not going to send an email. I'm just going to go ahead and save it as an action without an email. And so then I'm just going to take this action number, which is 4, with this ticket number 2328, and we're going to go ahead and test this out, right? So I've got, not this one. We can close that out, I think. Yeah, ticket review notice one that we want to do, right? So we're going to close this out. This is the one we can close. This is the log. We're going to keep that open for right now. Here's the note that it's going to do or to review the email that was sent. We're going to hit test. It's going to ask me for a ticket number and an action ID. So we know the ticket number is 2328, and the action ID was 4, right? So 4, and save. And so now we should see AI come back with a response that'll hopefully be in a JSON format that we can read. So here's the content. We've got the billing score as a fail. Why? There's no information given regarding the total time spent on the ticket or the billable hours, making it impossible to determine whether billable time spent resolves the issue and justifies the cost. Okay. Tech score failed. Why? Because the technician's explanation of the issue is inappropriate and unprofessional. It lacks technical detail, contains derogatory remarks towards the client's internet usage, which is unprofessional and inconsiderate. Right? So we can actually use this to do some interesting things. Now we can take this, hit OK. We want to put this into the actual output. So this is going to be where things come in handy. We're going to come in here. We're going to say action AI review and say like billing score. And this is going to be a string. We're going to paste this in here. And this will be billing score or something like that. I don't remember exactly what I told it to do. But let's just check this real quick. Yeah, billing score details, tech score, and tech score details. All right, and so we'll just come in here. We'll say action AI review billing details, which will be a string as well. And we're going to paste this in here. We're just going to add details to it. Hit save. All right, we'll add one more. This will be, or 2 more really. Action AI tech review or review tech score. Right, this will be a string. We're going to paste this in here. We're just going to change billing score to tech score. And then we're going to copy that, save this, put this in one more time, paste it in here. This will be a string again. And this will be tech score details. And here we're going to say AI action, AI review, tech details, and paste that, enter, save. All right, if I do the same action again, 2328 or something like that, I think, and then action ID 4, right? 2328. Yeah, and action ID 4. So it's we should see the individual details now broken out into different variables. That didn't work. What's the content? Oh, because I have to. I forgot the content, message content. Hold on one second. Let's go back here real quick. I closed it out. Great. Hold on one second. Let's go to ask a question. Our output variable, yeah, it's for choices, message, content. So it's inside the content that it has to come through. So let's go back to our one that we created. Ticket review note. We're going to just edit these to add in content in front of all these in front of each of these values. So it's going to be message, content, billing, score details, message, content, text score, and then message, content, text score details. Hit save. We'll try this one more time. 2328 and 4, and hit save. All right, there we go. We got fail. We got the reason why it failed. Got a fail here. Got the reason why it failed here as well. All right, so what we kind of want to do is include the amount of time each action took, if we can. Here's time taken, and we don't really see the action charge hours, so to speak, but we can include time taken. So let's come in here and say something like total time of the ticket is action time taken, ticket details, or total time of the action, really, of the, let's say, work time. This will be in hours also. Let's make sure we put that in hours, and then we can say note sent. Save that. Let's see how this changes things. 2328, and then 4. Save. All right, on time spent task is 1.35 hours, which is too high considering the task was simply diagnosing the download issue. Should have been done within a period of 15 to 30 minutes, right? Like that's the result. So this would be a fail. And then finally, we got technician's work seems technically sound, but their explanation contains unprofessional language, may offend the customer, right? And so we can see that we're basically building in an AI manager. What's the point of this? Well, what we can now do is we can say, we can go to our runbooks, and we're going to go to integration runbooks, and we're going to build a new runbook. It's going to say something like AI note review. And we can now build a flowchart. It's going to say something like review note, which is going to run the action of the review note. Upon the note being reviewed, it's going to move to a new step on each side. If it fails, we're just going to end and say like failed review, which means nothing's going to happen. We're not risking anything here, because our only effective outcome is if it passes, right? We're not changing on a fail, we're only changing on a pass. So because we're limiting the scope of change, well, let me finish building it out and then you'll see, right? So if I go here and do, now that we've basically received our response, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna update the action. So we're gonna do update action with review details. I'm actually not gonna do that yet. I'm just gonna say, here's a condition real quick. Let's say check review, right? Maybe we don't care about the technician review before it goes to billing. Maybe we only care about billing, right? And so what we can do is we can say if the condition of billing score, right, is equal to essentially pass, which I don't remember what I actually told it to include in the value. Pass or fail, right? So if it's a pass, then we're going to go ahead and move on to the new step, right? This new step is going to then check to see is the we don't really care about this, honestly. So here, so we're going to update the action, right? And then we're going to say this is going to be execute an integration method. We may be able to do it here. Edit user, edit lookup. No, we can only create an action. That's not necessarily what we want to do. Let's say we just want to edit the existing action so we can identify which one it was, right? So let's switch to using an integration method. I do have Halo as an integrated system, and so we can literally just do a new method against that Halo API. It's already been integrated with it. It's going to go to API actions, or not APIs because it's already there. It's going to go to actions, and then we're just going to set this to say update action with details, and we're going to do a post. Our post is going to be an open array, open JSON. Ticket ID will be the ticket ID itself, which we can just do ticket, or let's say action ticket ID. And then our ID is going to be the action ID. All right, I think that's essentially going to work. Let's switch this action variables. Yeah, action ID. And then all we're going to do is custom fields, right? Which is going to be an array, and it's going to be the individual custom fields that we created. So there's 4 of them altogether. And they're going to be based off of the actual variables that we have here. So we're going to just copy this for a moment and comma, enter, paste, comma, enter, paste, comma, right? Enter 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 fields and 4 values that we're going to do. If I go back to our custom fields that we created somewhere along these lines, we'll just looks like I'm not in them anymore. So let's just go back here. Let's do it here. Let's just go down to our custom fields real quick. Go over to action. Our custom fields, we need the IDs, right? So the billing review results is ID 217. Let's put this all the way to the end. Right, so 217 is the results, and in that case, that's going to be the details, right? The billing details. And then over here, 218 will be next, which will be the tech review, maybe? 218 is the tech review, right? And the tech review is also the details. So tech details here. And then we've got 219, which would be the tech score is 219. So we say 219, and that's going to be the tech score. And then we've got 220, which can only be the last one, which is the billing score. Right, now notice I'm not putting these in double quotes. It's because as strings, they're going to be returned with double quotes already. If I did want to put them in double quotes or whatever, I can use the exclamation mark to break the double quote around it, because otherwise it'll just do double quotes, which will be problematic. But in this case, this should perform an update where it changes the action. Oops, it's an invalid JSON body. Hold on, what did I miss? Custom fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, close this. Oh, I'm missing a colon, duh. There we go. Save. No, still broken. Comma, comma, colon, ID value, ID value, ID value. Oh, duh, hold on. Missing commas all over here. Comma, 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 comma. Save. There we go. All right, that worked. And so then I can go back here and just say update action with details, which I think is what we just made. Yeah, this is it, right? And so now we can actually change this. Update with AI review details, let's say. Save that, and we can go ahead and save this. Upon moving to each new step, we're just going to go ahead and essentially we want to duplicate this exact same thing. The difference is that if it's being met, we're going to also do one other thing here. Inside of the action itself, if we go back to the ticket, if we look at the action, there's a reviewed note that exists. And I don't know if it's only visible when review processing is on. So let's go turn it on for a second and see what it looks like. If we turn on billing, general settings, charge rate settings, enable ticket review processing, and then I go ahead and come back here, refresh this page, and refresh looking at this note, I should have reviewed equals yes, right? So I'm going to go ahead and toggle that for a moment so that it's not on. It's on right now because I'm automatically set to be reviewed because I am an admin, so to speak, right? So like, but for the most part, that won't be on. And notice the action reviewed is false in this case, right? So I'm just going to copy this value, and I'm going to go to our runbook, update action AI review details, and we're just going to add this in here to say action reviewed is equal to false, or in this case, true, right? Is what we really want. And then we're just gonna comma that and save, right? And I think that's spelled wrong. Action reviewed. Give me this, hold on. Oh, it's act reviewed. Wow, okay. My brain's really not working well. I'm gonna copy this whole thing and we're just gonna cancel this. And we're gonna close this off. We're actually gonna rename this to say approve action with AI review details, save, right? And then so that way we have got that set and we're good to go. Let's go and make a new action here, a new step, and it's gonna say something like denied. Let's say this was approved, right? Approved billing, and this will be denied billing, right? And then upon that, we're gonna go do an action. We're gonna do a new method again. Again, it's gonna be deny action with AI review details. We're gonna do a post. Our body is not changing. It's gonna be 99%. It's gonna be the exact same thing. The difference is we're gonna set this to false at this point. And then we're gonna set this to Halo as the API /actions, and we're gonna save this. Right? We don't need an outcome in this case. We don't need any kind of outcome there because we're not doing anything with the results of that being set. Right? Upon this being done, we're gonna move to the steps that already exist, 6 and 7. Right? So in the event of unsuccessful response, on either case, it's gonna go to 7, fail to update action, right? And we're gonna end this. And then over here, upon it being a successful response, we're gonna end it for right now, but imagine we do another condition where we check to see if the tech review is required. If the tech review passes, we leave it alone, we exit gracefully. If it doesn't pass, we send a notification to the technician, we send a notification to the manager, we have that ticket reviewed, and so on and so forth. Well, whatever we want to do, we can do, right? It's completely up to our imagination in terms of what happens here. For right now, I'm just gonna end it, and we're just gonna test this out the way it is right now. So we have this AI note review. We have this flowchart that's going to run it through AI. It's going to determine how this works. It's going to determine if the note is good and then whether or not it can pass billing at this point. So the key is, and the point of all this is that we could turn on the AI, not the AI, the ticket review processing, and then use AI to basically clean up 90% of the tickets so that you're only reviewing the ones that either fail AI completely or AI fails on purpose because it didn't pass muster. So let's go ahead and actually try to build this out. Let's try to run it. Now that this is created, we can go to our run book and we actually just have to tie it into, we want it turned on and we can tie it into an actual event that occurs. That is the wrong plus button. Down here, we've got events. We can hit plus. We can do action added by agent. And here we'll do the action will be email user. So anytime the email user action is done, basically, this run book will run. So I'm going to go back to my ticket. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to do another email. And it's going to be something along the lines of, hi, John. We've discovered the problem is related to your large downloads that are ongoing during the day. Right? And so then we can go say this is in progress. We can set this to be 30 or 45 minutes, right? And we can send this email for real. It'll go to my Hotmail account and hit send. And upon that happening, what we should see on the run book is the log should be firing, it should be in progress, it should be approved billing, and it should have ended at approved billing, right? Because essentially nothing we did was extreme or significantly bad. And so we've passed our billing score, we passed our tech score. The specified work time for the task was 0.75, which seems reasonable for diagnosing the issue related bandwidth, especially involving large downloads, hence the billing score is a pass. Clear and concise, technical knowledge applies appropriate for this issue. right? And in this case, our action detail reviewed has been marked as yes. Even though I'm automatically marked as yes because I'm an admin, what happens if I do the exact same thing and I do something different to say it's like something like, hi, John, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this, but please stop downloading large files during the day. Just, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to say that out loud. The point is that we're going to make this 5 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and send this email. And we'll hit yes and send, right? And again, our runbook should be running almost immediately. We should be able to see it if we have a tab, one of the enabled tabs here. It's a tab that I recommend turning on every ticket type. There's an automations tab. So if I go to the ticket type, go to the forms, and edit and scroll down, we should see this show automations tab on the ticket detail screen, which will give us the ability to view the automation that's running. And so now we've got the automations. We can see the note review has finished in both cases. And so now if we go to progress and go back into this note, we can go to AI Manager, and we see that we passed billing, right? It's pretty much simple. It's 5 minutes, right? We're going to issue to a client, no big deal. Text score failed, right? Yeah, so like it's able to pick that up pretty easily. And so we can do stuff with that. If I do something else and do like one more thing just to showcase, if I do email user, be like, hey, John, we're closing this out because you can't get back to us to confirm that it's still an issue, right? And I'll just put this in as like 1 hour, right? Let's just say. And then we're going to go ahead and say, send this out again. Yes. And send. What we should see is, again, the actual shows reviewed false. It is not reviewed. And so it will show up in the waiting review section because it doesn't make sense for it not to. It requires a human manager to double check this action. The human person can still go and say, hey, this is actually fine. Like, let's go ahead and bill it if they want to. But the reality is, I don't know why. Hold on, I feel like that didn't work. Oh, here it is. Let's see. Yep, it's still reviewed no, right? And AI Manager is here. We failed billing because total time spent is marked up as 1 hour. However, the description does not reflect time investment, right? So using AI, you can significantly cut down on the amount of billing stuff that you're doing. And I haven't even talked about the other action that we created, which you can still copy and use. But I'm not really going to because honestly, I've been at this for a really long time on this video. I don't even know how long, an hour and 17 minutes. So I'm done. But you get the point, I hope, is that our imagination, what we can do, right? In terms of like whether it's writing knowledge base articles, whether it's evaluating a response, whether it's intercepting or interacting, or sitting in between a manager and a human to try to cut down on the manager's work. The idea is that, and it's the same concept with automation. If you've listened to my video regarding, if you listen to my video regarding the troubleshooting your way through automation, right? It's the same concept where if you have a problem, if you have something that you're spending a significant amount of time on, automation can probably help you do it. Especially if you now consider that a lot of those things require human intelligence almost to review. It doesn't require anybody smart, it just means someone meticulous and who will actually pay attention. And so in that case, there's no reason why you can't stick AI in it, have it do an initial pass, and just route tickets in the event it's a failure back out to someone to review, right? So hopefully this was interesting to you. Again, just as a disclaimer, and I probably should have said this in the beginning, I'm not a huge fan of AI in general, especially because I think the more work that we offload, the less we engage our brains, the dumber we become. And my entire purpose is making us all more engaged and smarter. But still, even though I'm not a fan of AI, it is definitely useful in some cases. And I think that there's a difference between becoming lazy with it and utilizing it in ways to help you become more efficient without decreasing your thinking processes and your mental acuity. Thanks for watching. And if you stuck it out this long, leave a comment below saying you reached the end because that's impressive and maybe I'll send you something. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.